Are you ready to take your solos to the next level? As at the moment they sound something like this. If yes, then in today's video I'm going to share with you what I've learned after my solos being featured by brands like Kiesel, Neural DSP, Submission Audio, Jared Dines, yada yada yada, so you can save yourself hours and hours the next time you face a random backing track and wanting to write some captivating guitar solo. And no, it's not just about learning sweep picking that will fix it all, so let's dive in. When wanting to write a solo, try to think of it as engaging in a conversation. First and foremost, listen closely to the backing track, to the conversation, so you know the language that is being used. Otherwise, it's like contributing to a random conversation all guns blazing just to realize no one around you can actually understand you because you're talking in a different language. Second, introduce your well-rehearsed conversational phrases that fit the topic that you're currently talking about, much like learning and then applying guitar licks. And lastly, once you're all set in the conversation, you're using the right language, knowing what the topic is all about, you can start experimenting with intonation, emphasis, or even body language, which we would refer to as guitar techniques. So when you combine all these steps together, it'll bring a new life and authenticity to your conversations, making them not just heard, but felt. Same as your guitar solos. So that's how it works in a nutshell. Let's now dive deep into each one of them. And we're starting with listening to the backing track, which thanks to it, you'll be able to understand the context of a song. Is it a fast backing track full of double blast, where it'll be maybe more suited to do some crazy shredding? Or is it a chilled one where you'll just mainly focus on a melody? What key is the backing track in, so you know what notes to actually play? But if you don't want to learn the scales, then that could be avoided with the second step. But before we get there, maybe are there any melodies popping to your head when you just sit down and have a listen to the backing track? If not, then that's absolutely fine too. Maybe because you haven't written many solos yet. So all these are important things to do or questions to ask yourself before you even try to write anything. So once you got all that established, let's move on to the second step, which is improving your vocabulary. Have you ever heard your favorite guitar player play something really crazy and being like, yes, that's exactly how I want to sound? Well, those are called licks. We can also call them your musical vocabulary, articulation. Simply, if you're met with a backing track and you have no idea what to play over it, as maybe your current vocabulary is limited, licks is what will help you out. They will also work if you have no idea what scale they're using, but just know when to play them. Same as in a second language, you don't need to know what each word of how are you means, as long as you know how to use it, to check if someone is good or bad. So licks are an incredible tool, and that's exactly why when you're part of modern guitar course, you'll learn over 100 licks over the span of 6 months, so you'll be able to navigate yourself in any situation you'll be in, whether that's a major scale or pentatonic, harmonic minor, diminish, or even techniques such as tap-in, sweep picking, hybrid picking. You'll always know what to play. But in case you're not currently in a position where you can join us, then here is one of my recent solos where I've marked what could be seen as a lick, so you can already start expanding your lick library for free. And once you become comfortable with all these steps, then now is the time to bring all the techniques in. Because we all love looking at solos that incorporate all of the modern guitar techniques, the sweeps, hybrid picking, fast runs, the tap-in, That's why most of the guitar players I work with in the beginning believe that the number one thing how to improve solos is through learning more techniques. Like the moment they will learn sweep picking, everything will be sorted. But that's only true if it makes sense musically. Again, it's just a technique. On its own, same as in the example at the beginning of engaging in a conversation, you can only play around with the technique, the intonation, phrasing, body language, once you know the language of the conversation and the topic that you're talking about. Because same as in the conversation, there are only slight differences if you play a certain line as an alternate picking, legato or hybrid picking. That's why I try to experiment with different techniques to really see which one fits the current section of a solo the best. Whether that's legatos, slides, or tapping lines over some calmer section of a song. Or introducing some crazy alternate picking or sweep picking over a section that's a bit more brutal and it's asking for it. So the next time you hear a solo, try to play a role of an active listener and ask yourself, why this favorite solo of mine sounds so good? Is it because of a certain scale, phrasing, intonation or technique? If you start approaching it this way, then you'll slowly transition this skill to when you're actually writing your own solos as well. So that's all for this video, and if you're ready to finally transform your playing on all fronts, then make sure to check the link in the description. Don't worry, you don't need to hand over your email, none of that. It's just a video of me telling you how I can help you to get that. You don't have to click it, I really don't mind if you do click it or not. Most importantly, I want to thank you so much for being here and watching this video. You're the pure reason why I make these videos, so if you've enjoyed this one and mainly you've learned something, then please let me know by hitting that like button so I know the stuff I talk about is helping guitar players out there. And if you decide to support this channel by subscribing to it, then that would really make my day. And I would just love you for the support you're giving me. So thank you so much for doing that if you want to. Thanks again for being here and make sure to keep the guitar alive. I'll see you in the next video.